I'll just keep nibbling this retaining ring. There we go. So I got a few pieces of that retaining ring I got to go pull out. You can see some of it there, and the rest of it is down inside this hole. And obviously I'm gonna get the remaining pieces out before I put the new cable in, just so that the old pieces don't have a chance to move around and get in the way. So you can see them down in there, and I'll clean those out and then clean up the rest of it, and there should be, I'll go back in the cabin and check and make sure we're ready to install the new cable. Whew, that was a fight. Okay, well, I fished out the other piece, and then I took all the pieces I fished out and put them together, and I can tell I've got the complete ring extracted and accounted for. So I got the hole all cleaned out, which is what I wanted to do. And I don't feel anything else in there except just fiberglass insulation and a little hole for the cable to go through. So I'm going to clean this up, and it's time to pull out the old cable, which should just come out. This cable got more damage than I thought it would coming out, so not really useful as a spare. Just too bad. Yeah, it got a little bit broken. I do not see any damage to it. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. This white plastic sheath looks like it's in pretty good shape. This we saw before, the cracking and a little bit of rust, but not too bad. There's some cracking in the sheath there, but yeah, the cable all the way down looks pretty good. I don't see any fraying or damage, but there's a rubber piece that's missing. It fell off many years ago. I remember when it deteriorated and I took it off. So we're going to get a new cable put in now. But I'll save this old one for now, just in case. It'll help figure out how to put the new one in. So I cleaned up that surface and put a little bit of plumber's grease on it. I found that stuff's really useful to make it easy to install stuff. And I think at this point it's time to open up the new part and get it ready to install. So the bag says watch out when you open the bag because it's going to the cable's going to snap potentially. So I'll be careful. Snaps open a little bit, but not too bad. And here is the new cable. Gosh, it's all shiny and new. So there are the locking tabs that caused so many problems getting the old one out. And a new rubber grommet and the transmission switch, and just all nice and shiny new sheathing, and a little rubber tip. This was what eventually turned yellow and wore off on the car after, I don't know, about 10 years or so. and the new cable end. So I think the thing to do is go put it in the car. So I'm just gonna start off with the end that goes through the firewall and route it correctly with the connector towards the top. And the cable definitely goes above the turbo intake. And you just route it down, and it goes into the hole in the fiberglass. Whoops, I gotta try from this side. Okay, so just route the cable down. Obviously it needs to be routed straight. I think any other tube or wire can be pushed to the side. The most important thing is this cable has to be a straight run into the to the pedal. Just feed it through, and I am just, after all the trouble I had getting that white locking collar out, I'm gonna be good and darn sure this thing is right before I push it all the way in and snap it. But just get it aligned approximately right, and you can see I've routed it here correctly over to where the clip is going to lock in place right here, and just rough that in. It's got a nice arch to it, no kinks, no twists, it's not bent on anything. And the next thing to do is go and make sure that the end, I'm going to move this alarm cable back into its place and move this approximately back into its proper place. And then I'm going to go into the cabin and see how it looks on that end. So here back in the cabin, what I can see is that the cable, just by luck, did come all the way through. So you just have to feed it through the hole. You can see it coming through the hole there. And I've got my little magic white plastic clip that whoops, it's going to need to go on the end of this. This is like putting the there, it just snaps right in. That's like putting the handle on a pull chain. So that's looking pretty good. There's a lot of slack, but that's because I haven't pulled it from the other side yet, but it basically looks okay. So I think that's connected okay. Back to the engine to you know, wrap the cable or install it at the firewall. So back at the engine, the end of the cable is loose and sliding very smoothly, so that's good. And I'm going to push my little one-way, seemingly one-way plastic collar into position. And it just snapped into place really smoothly. That's one of the benefits of putting that plumber's grease on there, is that everything just slides and snaps in real easy without binding. I love that stuff. So ready to put this connector back on, the transmission connector and the alarm connector. Usually when I mess with old electric stuff, I clean the debris off the connectors, and I put some of this CRC 226 contact cleaner on. Whether it does any good or not, I don't know. I think it does. Put a little bit of that on the connectors. It's supposed to clean and make the contact last better, resist oxidation. Just push that on. So that feels okay. I may want to put a little bit of plumber's grease on this connector actually. Oops. Now I've done it. Just broke off my locking tab on that connector. Might have known that would not survive 2 trips in and out. But that's how it goes. So I think what I'll do is clean that off and put a little plumber's grease on it. And if my automatic transmission doesn't kick down, which I can't even remember the last time I used the kick down function on this car, I'll know why. Alright, so I put a little bit of silicone plumber's grease on the outside of the connector, and I push that in. The locking tab is broken off, just wore out. I guess I could put a new connector on there, or tie wrap it in place, or I think for now I'm just going to leave it in its place, and hopefully it will stay in place. And then the cable, the accelerator cable, just gets routed up and over to the clip. And at this point, I think we're ready to reattach the cable around the cam. So I decided, I looked at this cam, and I decided it's got a little bit, I noticed it's got a little bit of dirt inside the groove where the cable's actually going to go, the brand new cable. So I'm just going to clean some of that out, so that at least I'm starting off with a nice clean pathway for the cable without a lot of abrasive gunk in there to wear it away. Although I gotta say, the old cable, it still looks great even after 19 years or so. So can't be too bad. And I'll just clean it all the way around. Just to start off with something that's clean. Probably not necessary. I'm just using a nylon bristle brush. And then I think the thing to do is take the slack off of the The thing to do is turn the cam, tighten up the cam, rotate the cam counterclockwise until you can get the oh, this is trickier than I thought, yeah. Till you can get the end of the cable to, and you don't want to twist it, you know, but you want to, this would be easier without gloves on, put that cable, tricky. Push it into the slot like that. That doesn't feel quite right. Oops. So, trying to fit the new cable in, I felt like it wasn't going in very smoothly. So I took it out and looked at it, and I can see the new cable has got some extra wire from a sloppy cut on the end, compared with the old cable, which is nice and smooth. So I'm going to remove this extra wire and see if it installs more smoothly. I think the way to remove it is probably with clippers. Which I've got right here. Be sure you're wearing safety glasses if you have the same problem. Because the ends are going to pop up into your eyes if you don't, and your face. Just looks like a sloppy cut. Okay, that looks pretty flush. So now I think I'll try reinstalling the this little barrel.